Hello, and welcome to Filling in the Gaps. I'm Justin.
I'm Darren.
Here on Filling in the Gaps, we discuss puzzle games and puzzling movies. Today, we are going to talk about the puzzle game Seventh Guest.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something a bit old, something retro, something we may both have regretted. Developed by Trilobite Games. Trilobite Games also made 11th Hour.
Trilobite Games with a Y, because they're hip.
Published by Night Dive Studios, who are the ones, I think, who did System Shock. They're definitely rebooting System Shock.
Yeah, they do. Basically, Night Dive, they have the rights to all of these old school games. Just waiting for them to do Discworld again.
They've also done Tex Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
So, definitely we've explored stuff that they've done either in this podcast or the other. The version I have is no longer available on Steam. You have to get the 25th anniversary edition, which is the one you played, I believe.
Played that one, but you played the OG.
Yes. Mine had all reviews mixed, 472 reviews. It's from April of 1993. So this one, they actually got the actual date that it released, I think, to be published on Steam. Unlike many others where it seems like the date it was first published on Steam.
Yeah, like those what do you call them? Those old Spectrum games is like published in 2007. Like, no.
It is full motion video. At least it has some in there, though it's not the best.
I don't know about yours, but mine was really, really. I don't know if it was my monitor or my settings, but mine was super, super blocky, super grainy. Like, it's not even as good as like how I remember like Wing Commander to be. Like, it was quite bad. It
was grainy and it was hard to tell what was going on sometimes.
Yeah.
We'll get into that when we get into the spoiler section. It's also labeled as point and click. Yes. It is labeled as horror. Sure, it's not very scary, but sure. And puzzle. Well, yeah, definitely. That's pretty much all the game is walking around the mansion, maybe finding secret passages, but
and then regretting it because, no, I don't want to be back down there again.
And solving puzzles. The 25th anniversary edition was from 2019. It's about $10, I think, on Steam. Usually goes on sale. That's Dev Mojo and Trilobite Games. Mostly positive. So I'm guessing that they may have fixed some of the mechanical issues from the original version ported to Steam. And maybe just from the original version. So it's definitely something, hopefully, as we're talking about, we'll get into when it comes to the difference between the two and if it's worth it. I wanted to play it. I've wanted to play it for ages because I've seen clips of other people playing, and it just seems so old school and hammy and ridiculous. And yes, it is, but it's also in many ways very frustrating. I personally, now having played it, would recommend you watch somebody play it. I think that's got to be a lot more fun than actually playing the game. Some of the puzzles take forever, and it's not just because the puzzle takes a long time to solve. They just take a really long time because there are so many moves that you have to do.
And the animations can be quite slow as well to boot.
And there's voiceover that will cut in, and that stops you from doing anything for the 30 seconds it's talking. It is really punishing. A lot of the puzzles will make you start over from the beginning. So if it took you 5 minutes to get to that point, you have to do that 5 minutes all over again. And some of the things that would make you start over are because of the game mechanic. You're moving around. It looks very interesting in mid-90s fashion to float around and sort of have the camera pan around from the stairs to the door or something like that, and to spin around the room and to see the 3D room. But there's not a lot, one, to really interact with. They put a lot of visual stuff there, but you can't really do anything with a lot of it. And two, in the case of the one we're really going to rip apart later, it's way too easy to click to move around the room and leave the puzzle. Which, when we get to that one, happened to me at least twice and maybe 3 times, and made that horrible puzzle so much more horrible than it needed to be.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it too. And this game has a huge cult following. Like, tons of people love this game. They remember it really fondly. I'm surprised I'd never played this game, because it's like, this came out around the same time as Myst. In fact, this came just out a year later than Myst, I think. And they were all like, Myst only has static screens. We've got FMV. And they were just like, they tried to trash Myst. And it's like, dude, come on.
No. Your sound effects, your visuals, none of it looks as good.
No.
Even your acting is not as good. And that's saying something. I do like it, but I like it from that sort of B-movie aspect, that sort of seeing where something came from, looking back to history. If you really want to get into it, sure, do it, but do it on a big sale. I don't know that it's really worth it. I know that you can bundle 7th Guest and 11th Hour together. Whether you want to do that or not, I don't know. I recommend it, but with a lot of reservations that you need to understand these puzzles are old, these puzzles are difficult, not always because they're just difficult, but because they're so obtuse. There are a couple I solved. I'm not sure how or why I solved them. And even some of the walkthroughs I looked to for answers just gave the solution and not why. There's one particular puzzle that Darren found very easy that I found impossible. And so did a lot of other people. We will get to that. Honestly, I don't recommend it. Let me take that back. I don't recommend it. There's a lot more not fun than there is fun. Again, I would recommend watching it over playing it unless you really love this era of game, this era of FMV, this era of puzzle. Because if you were coming from what you'd expect today from, say, The Room, you're going to be really disappointed with what you're getting with this one.
Yeah. It pains me to say it because I want to say everyone should give this a shot, but unfortunately I can't. I liked it, even though all of its problems and stuff. I still enjoyed the game, and I would recommend it to maybe old school gamers or people that can put up with that, like a lot of people who know what they're getting into. But just be sure that you are aware of its user interface is not friendly at all.
Oh, and yours too? That was the one thing I hope they really fixed. Here's what I would say. If you do have it in your library, definitely try it. But if you don't, listen to us first and see if after the first couple puzzles, if it sounds enticing, then maybe go for it. But otherwise,
I mean, you're going to see the gameplay. You're going to pretty much maybe see the whole game right now on YouTube anyway as you're listening to this. So if you like what you see, then, I mean, obviously, spoiler alert, but...
well, that's where we're headed. So with that, I think it's time. Let's get into the spoiler section. So here it is, your spoiler warning.
Feeling lonely.
I'm going to include a small note here. Prior, like one day before I was editing this video to put it out for the podcast, there was an announcement that the 7th Guest is getting a VR remake release in 2023. It looks really good. Here's the trailer playing right now. It looks like there's all new puzzles. It looks like there's a ton of new content. You get to see outside the house. There's new puzzles in the house. This could actually bring 7th Guest into the 21st century. Quite psyched about this. I don't own a VR, but this is one more reason, along with Alex, the Talos Principle VR. There's a lot of good VR now that's getting released, and this doesn't look too bad. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you have a VR rig and you're interested in something like that. All right, back to the podcast.
All right, so we're a bit under the gun. We've got a short time to record today. Let me deal with just the story first. Would that be fair? And get it out of the way?
You understood the story?
Okay, so first, I suspect this is one of those games where a lot of the story took place
on
in
the box
and
right.
in the user's manual.
Yeah.
I think it's the Wikipedia entry has all the characters, which we barely hear their names or know anything about them or what they want. But it was all right there in a language that sounds very much like game company put into the guide.
Right, yeah.
So I'm going to say yes, that's where probably most of it happened. I put together a fair amount from that and the bits that we saw. A lot of it is not very detailed.
I mean, here's my 1 minute summary of what I got from it. 6 people get invited to a mansion. They're promised riches and they're whatever they wish. there's a seventh guest who is a little boy who snuck in through a window. What's his name? No, it's not Faust. What's his name?
Stoff.
Stoff. Oh yeah. Yeah. So Stoff needs the child to be reborn or something like that.
Something like that. That's not very clear as to why he needs the child.
And when we win the end. What's the deeper story then? We
are actually that boy older.
Okay. Okay. Well, wouldn't you remember? So is he remembering this then?
There are a number of times where he says, "This seems familiar."
So has he got amnesia or something like that?
That is not clear.
Right. Okay.
In the list of characters, our player character is referred to as Ego.
Okay.
The different characters, we have Dutton, who just wants to be rich, I believe.
Yep.
We have the couple, Mr. and Mrs. Knox.
Mm-hmm.
He, I don't know what he wanted before, but now all he seems to want is to get with Martine Burden, who apparently also appears in 11th Hour.
Okay.
Mrs. Knox, I guess, wants to be beautiful.
Young again, I think. Was that the one she turns into a baby?
No, that's Julia.
Okay.
Mrs. Knox is the one who you see in the mirror. She's speaking backwards, and then later we see her as a dress form. So I'm guessing that she did a sort of request to be thin, and that's how she got her request. A lot of times it seems like they get what they want, but not really.
Yeah, like the old genie thing where it's like, make your wish, and it's like, yeah, but it sucks.
But again, it doesn't make any sense because Julia, for example, who wanted to be younger, we saw her turned into a baby, but then she's also grabbing Tad at the end and taking him to Stoff, and she gets melted in a pool of green vomit. So how did those two things both happen? I think that the people we're seeing are ghosts, perhaps.
Maybe.
But I also felt that we were a ghost because some of those secret passageways, a pipe from the sink down into the stove, I think.
Yeah, down a pocket on a pool table. Like
that grate that we get into to get into the maze, that was pretty small.
They were just very thin. Don't even mention that maze to me, man.
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
Feeling lonely. Oh my God.
Awful. Okay. It's funny because the thing for me is it's such a miserable thing to play, but it's so funny to talk about afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
And that to me is the real joy of this game.
Yeah, I feel like I'm part of a club now.
Yeah.
I paid my membership dues.
I have survived Seventh Guest. Yeah, so you've got the magician Hamilton who wants to
do real magic.
When we open the game, you get that whole bit about Stoff having the vision of the doll, and that leads to him getting a room, and then he creates puzzles and toys for kids, and then the kids die mysteriously. Well, of course they did. Clearly it's connected. You've not given me much to go on. It's a bit like Throw Mama from the Train when the story is being critiqued. Like, well, you only had two characters, and the one guy dies by the end of page 2, you know? So it's pretty clear what happens. This one is not clear because everything is sort of out of time. There's no chronology to the cutscenes. The information we're given is not very clear. The FMV itself is sometimes not very clear. So when Dutton dies, he goes, "Oh no!" I was sitting there going, "Oh no, what? What's happening to you? You're just rubbing your arms. What's happening?" Yeah. He said, I believe...
I think, did he turn to gold or something like that? Or did he turn into paper, like paper money? I think that's what happened.
Interesting. I thought maybe he said he wanted to be filthy rich, and so he became dirt or something.
Okay.
I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea. So many of the things in here it's just laughable how bad the acting is, how bad the storytelling is. And yeah, it leads up to Hamilton the magician trying to save Tad, who I guess, according to the description, was a neighbor kid who snuck in, because he's the exact number that Stoff needs. He needs exactly one more. Just go get, and it can be any kid. Why does it have to be this one?
Yeah.
And why invite everybody here to try to get the kid? He couldn't figure out a better way to do it than this? I don't know. The story's bad.
The story, yeah.
Let's just say it. The story's bad.
We're working backwards from the conclusion of the game to, like, make sense to the beginning, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. But so many of the things that happen in between, it's like, what? Clearly trying to be risque with Martine in the bath.
Oh, yeah.
And then she gets pulled under and I guess drowns, but that has nothing to do with the rest of her story at all. You have the scene where she seduces Edward Knox, which is not sexy in any way.
It just leads to moaning and groaning.
Yeah. So the story is awful, but it's part of what I love about it. It's just how bad it is. I just want more of it, and I want it to make a bit more sense and to connect, because so many of the scenes just don't even feel like they connect to each other or contradict what happens in the other scene. So to me, it's disappointing in that respect, but it's fun to laugh at. Let's get to the puzzles. So my first puzzle was the cake puzzle.
Really?
In the dining room.
Mine too. I wonder, because I know that the game locks off doors and only opens them up as you progress, because I was spent ages going, why doesn't this door open? But it's on my map. Why doesn't this door open? But it's like, I think the game kind of gates off bits of the levels.
It definitely does. Let's talk a bit about the cursor too.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe before we do the puzzles, let's talk about the mechanics. So we've got the cursor, which will have an eyeball if you can interact. It changes color if you need to, say, move a piece from one place to another, and you've clicked on it, but you need to do a second thing. There is the skeleton hand that will do the no, 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 no if you can't go there. A forward motion if you can move forward, and a come hither on the sides to turn everything around. I had to look up how to save the game. I actually had to restart the game and do the cake puzzle a second time. Because of course it wasn't auto-saving. It's from 93, but I thought it was, and it wasn't.
It auto-saves on the 25th anniversary edition.
Good.
And there's a little bit of a menu where you can change some settings and things like that, and change the volume.
That would be wonderful. I couldn't change anything.
Okay, so they've definitely done that then.
Because it's so loud.
Yeah, I had to turn it. I was streaming this on Twitch, and I had to turn it down because it was just like, everyone's just like, darn, it's deafening. Like,
yes. And some of the music is great, and some of the music is not great.
Yeah.
The cursor, if you take to the top of the screen, becomes the triangle that you'd put on a Ouija board. That takes you to the menu.
Okay. Where
you can save your game. You go in, you save the game. You have to click on one of the numbers at the bottom to choose the slot. So you have, I think, the 9.
Right.
And then you have to, with the Ouija board thing, the kind of clunky, change it to the triangle. If you're not on the exact right spot, it's the no-no hand. And then you have to spell, and there's no back, so if you spell it wrong, but it's just a safe game, so I guess it's not that big a deal. But
didn't just let you type it in?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
If it did, I feel really dumb because I went through and every time was clicking. There is the set of chomping teeth for if you can have something ghostly happen. Secret passageways are often done that way. There was some kind of
like a frightener's hands pushing through the painting kind of thing.
Yes. There's the theater mask for if you want to re-see a cutscene, which I really appreciated. That was quite nice.
Yep.
I think that's all of them, but there were just so many options for the cursor. All right. So that's the thing, too. Getting into the map, I also had to do that thing where you go to the top of the screen and go to the menu. I found sometimes after I saved my game, the sound just disappeared.
I had that problem for mine as well. Like, my sound vanished at one point. And then at one point as well, my whole screen just turned into a mess of colours. Like,
I didn't have that one.
Like, really psychedelic. I was like, oh, no. It was just after I'd finished the Knights puzzle as well. I was like, no. Sorry. But I didn't have to... As soon as I turned around and went out the door, everything went back to normal. So it's like, phew.
There is a mechanic in the game. In the library, there's a book with hints. Apparently, if you do a hint, you go back to the puzzle. They do a nice thing there where it will pop up a doorway that will take you back to the puzzle you just left.
Yeah, that's much appreciated.
If you come back, apparently it will give you a better hint.
Yes, it does.
And then if you come back a third time, it'll just solve the puzzle for you.
Yep, I tried that out after you said, because I had no idea about that. And yeah, it works. I used it on...
Did it warn you, do you want this or anything?
No, it doesn't warn you at all.
There is also a walkthrough that said, as I noticed, the game warns that there's going to be a penalty for doing that or something. But as far as anyone knows, there is no real penalty.
Right, yeah. One of those empty threats that games have sometimes, like, oh, don't do that, you know. He will remember that. But yeah. So that works, but it doesn't tell you like, hey, this is your last chance. We're going to solve it for you. It's just like, all right, puzzle solved, and then you're like, oh, okay, great. But yeah, I used it for I don't know. I can't remember exactly which one. I'll probably get to it and talk about it when I get to it, because some of the, it's not that I didn't have. I mean, yeah, I was on a timer for this podcast, and B, I was streaming it, and I was like, I could solve this, but it might take me 3 hours. You know, so I was like, I'm just gonna cheese it.
I didn't end up using it. And much to my annoyance, because I found out that apparently some puzzles are just optional, like the one I struggled with the most.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Optional puzzles? I thought you had to solve them all. Okay.
Well, that's a problem with the game, I think, is that it does not tell you what you've unlocked. You have no idea what you've unlocked when you've solved a puzzle.
You just got to go back through the house and try all the doors again.
Which is about what I used the walkthrough half the time for, was just to figure out where to go next. Because I did not want to slowly go around the whole place and go into a room, because sometimes you had to go back into a room in order to know the next bit of cutscene that will unlock another door.
Right.
Full disclosure here, I used a walkthrough heavily in this game. Heavily. But that's also why I didn't end up using the book as much. I think without the walkthrough, yes, I probably would have used the book quite a lot. Back to the puzzles.
Okay.
Cake puzzle needs to be cut evenly. I hate how much our character talks all the time, because you'll do one thing and then our character will say something. Another time, character will say something. It slows the game down because you can't do that and have the audio going at the same time.
Yeah, if the audio was playing while you were solving it, fine. But so many times in this game, it's like, and especially when it's Stoff berating you, and it's just like, shut up! I was getting really annoyed, man.
And it repeats and repeats and repeats.
Yeah, I'll be dead before you solve this puzzle. Yeah, because you won't shut up and let me solve it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting bored here. Well, just wait then. Go do something else. Stop watching me all the time. This puzzle was pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, even I can divide 30 into 6.
Yeah. Though my first problem was I thought we were dividing it into 7.
So did I. But then I was like, realized, I'm the 7th guest. It's like the 6 guys are there already. This is the cake for them. I'm the uninvited one.
I will say the characters are, for the most part, really terrible about, oh, this place is awful. Oh, this food is awful. Oh, like they complain about everything except for maybe Mrs. Knox, who seems somewhat nice, and the magician, who at first seems weird, but he's just a stage magician.
Yeah.
So that's the weirdness there. I think then for me was heading upstairs, I think I did next. So the word snake puzzle that you had to do, that was a bit of a nightmare because it was so pixelated it was hard to see. And also, I thought maybe I needed a puzzle piece or like a game piece to play on.
Right, yeah.
But it's not that kind of game. There is no inventory. But it was still so early in the game for me, I didn't realize that. Moves in 3s and moves in 5s. Okay, that's fine. I can understand that part. And yes, I'm going to start making words. But knowing that you have to have stars as spaces, that would take a little bit for me to figure out. But when we get into what it actually says, something about the sky is ruddy.
Yeah, there's some really...
I was like, wait a second, ruddy? There's no way I would have gotten that one.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, you're really limited on what you can choose anyway. So it's like, I kind of got this puzzle really quickly. It was like,
after I got ruddy, I was pretty good from that point on. But ruddy totally did my head in because I was trying to think of what word it could be.
Yeah.
And I was trying to make red happen, which just wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. This guy is red. But I mean, if you're talking about weird words, then in the pantry with the cans, tryst, like...
The weird thing is, tryst I knew. It was a lot of the other ones I didn't get.
It was the only one I didn't get. I was looking at it for ages. So going, what word could... Because I thought you spelled tryst, T-R-I-E-S-T, E, like that. Like, I thought it was like a weird spelling, but I didn't realize it had a Y in it, so I was like,
Okay, well, let's talk about that one. That one's in the kitchen. So the cans have a bunch of letters.
No vowels.
But I had no idea what I was meant to be doing with it. They're all organized. So it didn't seem like I needed to organize them. But by the time I'd gotten to that one, I think I'd done another puzzle where you have to make things swap places. So I didn't know if I was meant to just swap all the Y's down to the bottom or something.
Ah, right, okay.
So the hint in the library helped me a lot, like spell words. And I went, well, but they only have Y's. That's really tough. And the problem is, it also says you're meant to make a sentence, but this is a sentence that has no verb.
I mean, shy gypsy, slyly, spryly, tryst by my crypt.
Yeah, it's missing a verb. It doesn't do anything. So, no, it's not. And my other thing is, with those letters, I came up with a ton of 3-letter words that I could do.
I mean...
So how do you know which is which and in what order? Because it has to be in that order.
And the thing is as well here, and I completely missed it. I'm going to admit, I got a hint from my chat on this that basically they said, do the small cans first, do the 2-letter words first. I was like, yeah, well, that can only be by or my. And then I went up to the 3 letters, and then because that will remove letters from it.
But that's the problem. That 3-letter one, shy, try,
anything.
pry, there are so many you could do.
Sly. But here's the thing, and I did not see this. If I'd gone back to the book, it says, bashful nomad, craftily, agilely, meets secretly near my underground vault. If I'd seen that, I would have had a much better go at it. But
I would have too. I didn't go back a second time.
I didn't go back because I didn't even. This was the.
I got so annoyed at it. I started to just take a piece of paper on the walkthrough and just try to get the first letter and try to guess from there. Give myself a little hint.
Right, okay.
And that worked somewhat, but I think Gypsy I would not have gotten if I didn't just look.
Yeah.
Not what I thought.
Spryly. Your old friend, the Queen puzzle.
I hate this so much.
I love this because I was like, yeah, I know what to do here. Boom, boom, boom. Failed. Oh yeah, you got to do it this way. Boom, boom, boom. Passed. Done. I was like, Justin's going to love this one.
I can get to 7.
All right.
There are 8 queens that you have to place on the board.
Yeah.
I know that there's 8 rows and 8 columns, so they can only be 1 in each row and column, but I can never seem to make it work. I can get 7 on there very easily, but then having to totally rearrange what I did, I just keep restarting it and keep putting 1 down going, this is the spot. Oh no, now 2 of my others have disappeared. No, it was awful. It was awful. I hate the Queen puzzle. This one gets a pass though, because this is before pretty much every other puzzle game we've done that has the Queen puzzle in it.
And to be fair, this gets a pass because this is not the only chess puzzle we've got in this game. We've got not 1, not 2, but 3. And
that was way too much from the same well for me, though.
Yeah, it was that, and they are much harder than this. Much that bishop puzzle messed me up. The knights puzzle messed me up even more. I think actually it was the knights puzzle that I cheesed with the book because I was just like, okay, I don't have time for this, man. This is going to take me forever to do this.
I probably should have.
Yeah,
I think the walkthrough even suggested just do the book for this one.
Yeah, because you told me, you were like, yeah, I did it, but it took me so long. So I had that in my mind. And as I saw, I was getting there and I was doing exactly the same thing as you. It's like, I'm getting there, but I'm getting locked in at a point where I can't get the corner pieces of the hardest part. They're the key parts to get out. And it's like, I was just locking myself in.
I had a problem where I often had the piece I needed to go into the empty slot was touching it, and since it's a knight, it can't just move one. So I had to rearrange everything. And then what was more frustrating with the knight puzzle, where you start with a set of white knights, a set of black knights, you have to make them swap places. You have to make them swap places not into even columns, but into a sort of diagonal pattern.
Yeah.
1, 2, 2, 3, 4, something like that. That, if I didn't have, say, a phone with a camera on it back in 93, and I had gotten to the point where I made them all switch so that white's on one side and black's on the other, where I thought I was done, oh no, I have to recreate the shape from the beginning. The only way to do that would have been to restart the whole thing and then draw out a diagram for myself. Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. It was already too tedious because of how many moves you have to do.
Yeah.
And then to make it have to be that perfect shape. If it had just been make them so they're facing the opposite directions, I would have been fine with it. But yeah, that went way too far for me.
And Stoff incessantly cuts you off. After every 3 moves you make, he's like, come on, I'm getting bored, or we'll be dead before you solve this puzzle. It's like, that was just the icing on this cake, basically. And I was like, right, I'm going downstairs, I'm going to get the book, we're done. But yeah, but after you solved the pantry puzzle, I stayed in the kitchen, and the next one was the grate puzzle. The grate puzzle is fine. I'm not usually a fan of slide squares, but this is a really tiny
It only
one.
has 6.
Yeah, so it's like, I felt really
And it's
smart.
really obvious. But you have to wait for your character to say something about, I need to get around this so you can see it's a round hole. Just, come on.
Yeah,
Let me just do the...
they don't mess around with the puns, do they?
But if you leave and come back, it resets itself, so you have to do it again.
Yeah.
Which I did because the maze is a nightmare.
Yeah, so then I went straight into the maze, and I hadn't been upstairs yet, so...
I'm going to say, for me, I had been already. I'd been in that room. So that is the room with the bishop's puzzle. Let's go ahead and get the bishop's puzzle out of the way as well. I totally walked through that one because I had no idea. I could get... That is basically what you have to do, is get the black and white pieces to switch places.
Yeah, it's only 4 bishops, small grid.
I could get... Well, first...
It's not easy, though.
No, first I didn't even understand what was going on. That it was the same as the Queen's puzzle. You can only move where you won't get attacked. Because for me, I just didn't understand why it was moving the way it was.
Right.
It's not squared off, so you don't see the boundaries.
Yes.
So it looks like you should be able to go much further. At times it just felt like I could only move one direction. I didn't realize when my character was saying, which way do I want to go? It wasn't just incessant noise. It was telling me I have a choice as to which direction to go, which helped. But I could get up to 2 on each side, and I think I had 3 on one side, but couldn't just get any further. It's a mess. I tried using a text walkthrough. That was a nightmare. I ended up just having to watch a video and point by point go through and do this one. Yeah. That is an annoying point where Mrs. Knox says, oh, I love these. I had a maze rug as a child, or something weird like that.
Oh, is that what she said? I wasn't listening.
Took a picture of the maze because I was sure that must be important, because I thought we were going to go into the maze right then.
Right.
But we don't. We have to go to a totally different place to do the maze. That's through this entranceway. For me, I always have a problem with this kind of maze and map because I don't know where I'm starting. I don't know where I'm finishing. And it was, now that I see it, I know what they were doing, but at first I had no idea where I was on the map to begin with. That's always a huge problem for me when it comes to these kind of mazes with a map. But where am I? Where do I start?
Yeah.
And it also does a lot of these weird animations pulling you through places and pushing you places. When the lady first takes you, how do you know where you're starting? That white ghost lady who seems to help you sometimes.
Yeah, never comes back, and she's never really explained.
I have no idea who she is.
No idea at all.
Which, by the way, just side note, I looked this up on IMDb. Nobody's done anything except for this and maybe 11th Hour.
Oh, really?
It seemed that way.
But yeah, this maze, I was just like, after spending 30 minutes in it, thinking, this is impossible. Reset, had to do the great puzzle again, went back in, I was just like, right, I'm just going to go straight. 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 And then I got all the way, I was like, whoa, this is really long. And again, I've not seen the map upstairs, so I'm like, all the way to the end. It's a big, long corridor. And you get to a skeleton, and the skeleton's pointing to the right or to the left or something like that. I think he's pointing to
the left.
Yeah, he's pointing to the left, yeah. And I was like, oh, we're on to something now.
Feeling lonely.
That's what I thought too.
Dead end, feeling lonely.
Okay, he was a trick. I need to go the other way.
Feeling lonely.
Also dead end.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Are you feeling lonely?
Oh my God, man, that over and over and over again.
Every dead end.
And I was like, and so here's me thinking, lonely. Are you feeling lonely? So I was looking for letters on the walls to press and spell out lonely, you know? Way overcooking it. And here's the other thing that really, really annoys me about this maze is when you get to a junction if you can't just turn around. You've got to turn around and then automatically go in that direction.
Yes.
That's a really stupid mechanic. And not only is that a stupid mechanic, but when you turn and sometimes it looks like you're facing the wall. Oh no, you've actually taken a step forward. Yes. And now you can go in a new direction. It's
the four-way junctions were very confusing for me as well.
Really, just a horrible maze. Horrible. But once I worked out, okay, there we go. But that carpet, again, is like, they could have done with, like, putting that in a bit of higher definition. Because, like, where's the entrance on that carpet?
Yeah, again, I need to know where the entrance is, where the exit is. Because how do you know which side you're on? Either.
Well, I knew because of that big long corridor going up, so I was like, okay, I know that's where I'm coming from.
Of course you did. I kept turning right.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And I don't know how I messed it up. I did mess it up somehow because I ended up out of the maze again.
Yeah.
So that's when I looked up the walkthrough and found out, go to the fifth one and then go from there. And basically showed me where the start point was. That's all I really needed was the start point first off. And then to say just go from the fifth one, okay, I can easily find my way. No, not too easily, because if you get distracted and forget where you are, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I was tracing with my finger along the map that I'd drawn, and it's like, yeah, okay. Compared
to the probably hour to 2 hours that I spent just clicking. At one point, I just put in a podcast because I'm like, just clicking. I'm going to click right until I get out of here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to listen to stuff anymore, so I'll do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I was in the maze, but yeah, forever. That will lead you to the crypts.
Which is another one of my pet peeve puzzles, man.
It didn't take me that long. I got lucky.
Forced my way through it, man.
I did too. It's the way I always kind of get through this and the portrait, which basically is the same thing.
Yeah, that portrait was quite hard.
I did start to see the pattern of the portrait, though. I really struggled with this one, though. But that's just me. It
seemed random, man. It seemed random. I'm sure it wasn't random.
It's not random. I did start to see the pattern, but whereas the portrait had... let's just talk about the portrait at the same time here. It's a 9 square, same as this one, but I don't think that the pattern is the same. With the portrait, it made much more sense because for most of them, like if you click on the middle one, you're changing the middle one and the middle one.
Like a cross.
You're basically making a plus sign.
Yeah.
If you click on one of the corners, it changes the corner and the 3 around it. So it's like everyone that's touching it, which makes much more sense than
this one
what the
seemed
crypt
like
was doing.
If you did like the top left one, it would open the bottom one on the right, and I don't know, it was all over the place.
Yeah. The portrait one to me made much more sense.
Yes.
Once I realized what was going on, and if I can get to a point where I can see what's going on, I might be able to do it, and I did. The crypt was just brute force.
I got that portrait. I got his face all green. I was like, oh.
I got it all devil.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not the answer. But from there,
it doesn't even say anything to you.
Yeah, but at least from there, it's a lot easier to get to where you're going.
Yes.
That's how I solved that one because that was a freaking nightmare.
Down there, you get a cutscene.
Jump into a crypt, pop out of an oven.
Yes. I don't know why.
Because game. Yep.
But yeah, you have another cutscene about everybody fighting. They all want the money, I guess. Or the whatever stuff as Faustus offering, yeah.
I've got the heart maze puzzle here. I really like this puzzle. It's like, that's one of the first ones I was like, I like this, because it's like, again, I'm always a fan of when they take an old style puzzle and they put a new twist on it. So this is not just you have to rotate the pipes. It's like, it's all about blocking off pipes, and you direct the flow through that. Like, the pipes are set, but you can angle blockades across pipes to make it go around.
Yes, and right from the start, I knew I need to look for whatever the longest way around.
Yeah, because I didn't do that. I was like, okay, how do I get there? Like, let's take the short way. It's like, I can't get that way. It's like, yeah, we're gonna have to go under the loop and through and knotted around, and yeah.
There's something fun and nostalgic about the way you click on the heart and you watch it slowly fill, knowing I'm probably not going to get it this time, but let's see.
Yeah, and if you don't get it, it's not like you can just go back and tweak the bits you get wrong. You have to do the whole thing again because the whole thing resets.
Will reset. And that's part of the punishing part of the game that I don't like and I totally disagree with. I like that there is a reset for every puzzle, but I don't like that the game always resets the puzzles.
Right. In the book room, I didn't realize there was a puzzle at the back on the telescope.
I didn't for a while either.
Yeah, I thought, no, because every room seems to have a single purpose. Like, this is the room where this is. This is the room where that is. But it's like, okay, this is the room where the book is. Oh, you can go to the back. There's a telescope there.
One of the easiest puzzles in the game.
I think that's probably the first puzzle you're supposed to find.
It probably is.
or maybe the spider one, the spider puzzle, because you're facing that right at the beginning of the game, aren't you?
I'm not sure you can do the spider at the beginning, though. I think
really?
you have to do something else to make that happen.
Yeah, because I was looking at that and clicking. I know you're right, because I was clicking on it going, this is a puzzle, but I was clicking on it and nothing was happening. Yeah.
You just get the no hand.
Yeah. And yeah, so then I went away and then came back and realized, like, oh, there's an eyeball on it now. I can, or whatever, the come here hand. Yeah, telescope puzzle was fine. It's just, what does it spell out? There is no possible way. Yeah. Well, there is. I just did it.
After that, you get a cutscene of them talking about stuff and what he's been up to.
Right.
With just his floating head there in the library.
I don't know if you noticed this on your one, but there's a panel that you can click on and it's like got something behind it. But I couldn't work out a way to get into it.
I didn't notice that one.
There's a secret grate in the fireplace.
That one I did, yes.
But there's another panel that's on the wall. That's basically, if you're facing the telescope, like from the book, if you're looking there, off to the left where the library is, where the shelves are, there's like a little wooden wall, basically. And if you click on it, it goes weird. But I couldn't figure a way to get in it.
I didn't notice that one.
I'm sure there's some secrets in this game, because also I noticed in the room with the maze and the bishop's puzzle, when you turn around to look at the door, if you look in the mirror, there's a lock on the door behind you. But when you turn around and face that door, there's no lock on it. So I was trying forever to jump through that mirror. I don't know what that is. I've got no idea.
I think that's where Mrs. Knox says what she wants, but she's also speaking backwards because she's in the mirror. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's any way to get it forward. Maybe that's part of what you would figure out if you had your key or whatever would happen.
I'm just curious. I mean, if someone knows, tell us in the comments. Like, 'cause I'm very, very curious about that. Like, I wonder, that panel in the library seems to you're able to interact with it, but I couldn't get it to work. And then I noticed that key, it's like a golden lock on this door, but when you turn around, it's like it's not there. It only exists in the mirror. Cards
and coins. They do this one twice. You have to go up and to the side. With the coins, you can skip over. With the cards, I didn't understand. You can skip over, but only if the card is face up. The book hint gave me that, and once I found that out, I went, oh, that makes this so much easier, because I couldn't do it before. I was doing it wrong. Fun, pretty simple once you know what you're doing. Not simple in the fact that I got it on the first try, but simple to understand, whereas so many of the puzzles in this game, just the point of them would be very difficult to comprehend.
Yeah.
It was almost immediately I knew exactly what I was doing, and that felt nice.
Yeah, the only one I really had a problem was with like the kind of I don't know, like the second coin puzzle. The first coin puzzle was like almost too easy. It was like, what that's it. Then the second coin puzzle was quite hard because you got to do a lot of jumping around.
Yes.
But fair enough puzzle. Yeah, no problems. And so I think this is maybe this after you solve a few of these, then it's like this is where the spider puzzle opens up.
Which again, I pretty much knew what was going on and was more annoyed with Stoff and our character saying, "Oh, what's going on?"
I know.
Yeah, I pretty much understand that I can send a spider one direction and be on the point, and once I do that, I get another spider. I have to fill up the points.
Yeah.
It wasn't that hard. Again, this is another one where it's like, I know what I'm doing. And that was nice.
Yeah, but for some reason, it took me a long time to do this. Because I was like, all right, and then I just need to get this one. Oh, I can't, I've already used that one.
There was for me, a time where I wasn't sure if they meant like points on a compass, so I only need 4. And then when I got those 4, I went, nope, that's not it. Well, I probably messed up this run.
Yeah, it's so funny because I spent ages looking at it, and then I got it down to 6, and then I was thinking like, okay, so how do I fill these up? And I was like, this is impossible, because if I send that one there, I can't get the 8th one down, because I thought you had to fill up all of them.
No, there's no 8th one.
And there's like, but Darren, that would be completely impossible.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and I was going to hit like reset on the puzzle, and I've messed it up again. But instead I clicked on that, because see, look, I've messed up, because if I do this, and then it's like, boom, you've solved it. Like, oh yeah, I'm just dumb. The picture puzzle
in the kids' room.
Yeah.
The sort of playroom. The walkthrough I looked at for this said that the starting points are random, that the flipping seems random.
Right.
That's how it felt to me.
That's how it felt to me. I actually looked up a walkthrough for this one as well. This is.
Did they actually have an answer though?
No. It did. It said it's random, and what you need to do is you need to press the bottom ones until you get the middle part of the picture in place, and then you just got to click the rows. Click the top row until you get it into place. Click the bottom row until you get it in place. If you don't get it into place, reset the puzzle and do it again, because it's random. So it's like, there probably is a way to solve it, but they're just saying like, here's an easy way to just cut through all the nonsense.
It doesn't feel like it. It to me felt like I was just pushing until I got it.
Yeah.
Because you can get 3 in a row of the same picture.
Yes. Yeah.
Which feels like it should not happen.
I mean, I thought it would just be like, the things flipped up, as you pushed them, they're just like, they moved up, or you can move it across. I thought it was going to be like that, but it's not like that at all.
No. That you get with the letter block puzzle in the dollhouse.
Yes.
After you see the demon dog with the bloody lips come out of the chest. I didn't like that either. You have to spell words. It says spell 3 words, and I did, but they were not the right 3 words.
Oh, what did you spell? What were they?
I forget what it was. It was something like tab, bet, something else I could do.
Boy or something like that, yeah.
Well, boy is one of the words, but there was a way where I had 3 words, and those are 3 words. And I thought, do I have to have 3 words in every direction? Like one of those math puzzles.
Right.
That's going to be tricky. But no, that's not it. You have to spell get boy Tad. Tad is the boy in white, the neighbor. Yeah. But you wouldn't have any knowledge of that from the game.
Ooh.
You'd have a slight bit of knowledge from that, probably from the game manual.
Right.
I didn't like this puzzle, the way that it moved. I understand it, but it was so slow, and the way the letters move just feels backwards from the way that it should work. That when I'm clicking on it, and I think it pulls the letters to it instead of pushing away. Something about it just feels backwards from every other kind of puzzle like this that we've done.
Yeah.
But at least it didn't seem random, which was way better than the other one.
Yeah, so you do that, and then there's a weird animation of like some doll suffocating a baby, and it turns blue. That was a bit weird. And then there was this, so then you get into like, or you're trying to get into, a door opens up, and then you're able to get into like Stoff's laboratory or something like that.
Well, not really, because what you do is you go through the dollhouse, and there's another secret entrance there.
Ah, that's right.
The lab, you actually have to go through Dutton's room, which was the coins. That unlocks a door into a church temple with swords and axes on the wall.
Yeah.
Where you can see a skeleton play the organ, and then you go the other way. That's the lab.
That's right.
And the lab is, for me, the worst puzzle in the game.
Yeah. But that first one, with the church place, that's where that floor puzzle is.
Oh, right. We do need to talk about that one. I did it about 4 times and then got out, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, I don't know.
I even looked up a walkthrough.
I've got the walkthrough in front of me right now, and it's like, I didn't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And B, it's like, so what you're saying is that the way that I did it the first time didn't work. So I thought, I've got to use all the blocks. It's one of those things I've got to... But some of the blocks are in corners. There's
Yeah, so it's impossible to use.
You can't use all of them.
Yeah.
But it's like, maybe it was like a... I thought maybe it's like a color thing. So it's like 2 of these ones, 1 of these ones, 1 of these ones, 2 of these ones. But there's no repeating pattern here. So I have no idea how I solved this puzzle at all.
I have no clue. I didn't even go around. Every walkthrough I've seen makes you go sort of around and back around. And I just went one direction and somehow just leaped to safety, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That puzzle is probably the worst in the game because I don't understand the rules. But the lab and the microscope puzzle is the one that just killed me because I had no idea. I played this one for hours. Not exaggerating. Literally hours trying to beat this game and could not.
Well, that's going to be hard for me to show because I solved this honestly in about a minute.
Which is fantastic for you. I did not. I looked up. There is no real walkthrough for this because the AI will make choices based on what you do.
Right.
And nobody's really put together a list of moves to do. Maybe we should. I will say this. Hopefully when we put out this episode, I'm going to add a link, if I still have it, to the page. Someone created AI to make this game so that they could... You basically click, it tells you what move to make. You move where the computer moves.
Wow.
And then it will make a choice. And even that, because if you miss a step or you make a mistake in the step, can totally destroy the whole game. So, and you lose. The green slimes eat all of my blue ones.
Yeah.
And yeah.
The first time I saw it, I got absolutely wrecked, man. Like the first time, I was like, okay, because I'm understanding how it works. And I was like, all right. I didn't really fully understand it until I got destroyed.
I think let's explain real quick. So you are blue slimes. The computer is green slimes. You move one at a time and you will create like an extra clone. Your grid is, I think, 7 by 7. But you can take one of your slimes and jump a space. You don't create one in your wake, but you can move, which is what the game would do to me all the time. I would have 3 in a row. It would leap into the whole of the 3 and then eat all of my slimes and turn them green. Yeah,
it could just like jump across the board. So this is the first time I did that, and then the second time I was like, okay, so I just like built a little bit down, then he went across, and I was like, well, I'm going to do that. And so I jumped down and I just ate all of him in one go, and he had like, honestly, I beat him in 4 moves the second time, 4 or 5 moves. Like, you'll see on the video, it was ridiculous. I went from getting utterly destroyed on the first time to the opposite. It was like over in about, honestly, I'm going to say 5 moves. He made a move, I expanded it a little bit, and then as soon as I could get into his territory, I leapt in, I devoured all of them, but his top one was there, but he'd only been focused on this bottom one. When I wrecked that one, he then went 2, and then I just went, okay, boom, and then, I just ate both of them because they're next to each other. I was like, oh, is that it? And I was like, oh, I'm stupid. I thought, oh man, everyone's going to really show me up on this. But they built an AI to try and work out how to solve it.
Yeah.
That is insane.
A game similar to this, I think, called A Taxi or something.
Okay.
Which is what a lot of people looking for help they'll find that source, but that is so old that my computer basically said, no, I can't run this. Right. I couldn't even run that.
Because is that game like, is it like Reversey, like that one? That's a line, isn't it?
All of these, like, it's similar to Go, but it's not exactly Go. So it is sort of its own thing, and it's kind of a mess, I think, as a puzzle for this kind of game.
There you go. It says right here, the microscope puzzle is similar to the game of Attacks. Yeah, 2 X's. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to try this game again and then just load up a save and then go back in and see if I can repeat it. Because I wonder if it's because it's so random, maybe the AI was just not...
It's random, but it's not totally random because that AI that I was using would do the same thing every time. It could predict what the computer was going to do. So it's not random, but it feels random. It's random based on our moves.
Right. So maybe I just played really, really awkwardly in the AI. I was like, what's this guy doing? I tricked it.
If only I had. But then let's let's talk about one of the other worst puzzles of the game. The Stoffway piano.
Yeah, man.
Having to do a memory game one at a time on the piano with him talking all the time and with
18 steps to the solution.
Yes. 18 steps to the solution one at a time, and how slow it is.
Yeah.
And how clunky the cursor is as to whether it's going to hit the hitbox or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes looking like you can't press that note, but you can.
Yeah, I take it back. I've said before, like, oh yeah, I love musical puzzles. Yeah, I absolutely hated this puzzle with a passion.
With that wheezy laugh when you lose.
Yeah. And just like, I'd get through and then I'd click on something, but the cursor had like been on the cusp. So it's like the eyeball just shifted onto the next key or something like that. And it's like, ding. And it's not like, oh, let's just start from where you got up to. It's like, no. Let's go back to bing.
Number 1. You have to start over with 1 and then 1, 2.
So it's like, I wonder how many, if you added all these up. So it's like 1 plus 2, 1 plus 3, 1 plus 4, 5, 6. It's like all compounds. It must amount to hundreds of key presses, especially if you mess it up like halfway through like I did. Because I was like, usually these things are like 7, 7 notes. Even the missed puzzle was not this hard.
Yes.
It's just not even in terms of difficulty of puzzle, like just like it's hard to get through, It's like the missed puzzle had like what, 7 notes, 8 notes?
Something like that.
This has got 18 notes and like 2 octaves. It's a mess, man. This puzzle should die.
To make matters worse, this is the one where if you get to high C, which you have to, a millimeter difference between press the key you want and leave the puzzle entirely.
Yeah.
Which I did at least twice.
Oh, man.
And I knew it was bad. And the thing is, it's about 10 notes, I think, where you have to do that pretty much every time. Run that danger zone of...
Yeah.
Will I be able to finish the puzzle, or do I leave and have to start from the beginning again?
Yeah.
It was probably an hour of this, and it's not an interesting puzzle in any way.
No, it's not. It's boring as hell. It's just a dumb Simon Says.
If you just let me get to the end, I can write down all the notes.
That's exactly what I did. I had to do that because I was terrified of making a mistake. At least it's not a timed puzzle. Oh my God, that would be even worse. But it's like, I eventually got about halfway and then I was like, right, this is getting way out of hand. I can't remember any more of this. So I drew a keyboard. I wrote down all the notes. And then I was like, right, I'm going through like one at a time. Bing, bing, ding. And it's like, it's just so tedious, man. So this is an awful puzzle, man.
Yes.
Awful puzzle.
I agree. I did not enjoy it. We're getting into the final, though.
What is next? Is it the windows puzzle or is it the knives puzzle?
The knives puzzle, because that's the door knocker to get in.
That's just... It's basically solitaire with knives.
It's that peg game that you would have played, the wooden triangle with the pegs that go in. You have to jump one, and you have to get down to 1. It took me a number of tries, but I at least knew what was going on, though the animation made it very confusing at first. Knives seem to fly out and then disappear, or sometimes they fly out and then jump. So I actually had to wait for the character to say something about checkers, and I went, oh, okay, I think I know what this is now. That takes us upstairs, though, and this takes us up to the windows puzzle. The windows puzzle I didn't understand. I had to get help with this one. You essentially assign the direction you're going to by the way you click on that puzzle shape, that window shape, the first time.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's the way the walkthrough explained it to me. And I basically used the walkthrough to get through most of the ground level to take me up that path. So basically, when you go up, say on the single pane window, every time you click on the single panes from then on, it's going to go up automatically. So that's what's sort of making it go around. Though I didn't know how to get up from one level to the next. That part didn't make any sense to me. There didn't seem to be a gap in the roof. Like, this is the way to go. Yeah. It's almost like you had to know what the next level was. I sort of just pushed my way through. Yeah. And it wasn't hard after I got through the first level. The first level is the hardest.
It gets easier as you go along. Yeah.
It gets smaller.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's really the game. Because after that, Julia, who's somehow not a baby anymore, takes Tad, and, well, you do get a scene of you looking in the mirror. If you look at the mirror and going, oh, that's me. I was the boy. And then you get into old man Stoff, who's, I guess, in a wheelchair, vomits, melts Julia. You save Tad. He saves you, but it creates a paradox. And then end of game.
And the boy
Thanks for playing.
Thank you. And then he ascends to the heavens, disappears.
It's such a weird game.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the credits of this though. I like the final credits. The music is great, and like I think I was just happy to see the back of the game. To be honest, like yay, I've done it.
I think so too. I think it's a rite of passage. I think it's nice to go back and see the sort of historical bit of FMV, even though most of it was impossible to tell what was going on. I enjoy having played it, but I'm not sure that I'd ever really want to play it again.
No, gaps filled or more gaps created.